Okay. Welcome everyone to our channel. Here we talk about everything when it comes to Action SA. So today I'm very excited. It's a very gonna be interesting interview because while you always talk about Action SA and everything about Action SA, but today we are hosting the man himself, who is the founder of Action SA. So it's very exciting for me to welcome our guest today, Herman Mashaba, who is the founder of Action SA, a man with a vision for this organization. So I'm very excited, and I know yourself at home, you're also excited. Feel free to share your questions, your comments on our pages as you are watching from home. And we are really excited that you're going to engage today. It's going to be really an engagement, and the team will be sending your comments to us here, and we'll be able to respond to whatever question you may have at home. I'm really excited. It's very exciting. But again, welcome Herman Mashaba to our studio.
Thank you so much, Zokel, and thank you so much for a fruitful, really inspiring day in eThekwini. It's really been really a wonderful day, and I'm happy to really get this opportunity to engage with you and engage with the listeners out there to really get to know about Action SA and our concerns and how we intend addressing those concerns to make sure that your children, your grandchildren can live in a better South Africa than the one that you and I currently live in.
No, interesting. But before we get to Action SA, someone at home want to know, who is Mashaba? People always hear about Herman Mashaba, Herman Mashaba. Some only know Black like me. But who is Herman Mashaba for someone that doesn't know Herman Mashaba?
Well, Herman Mashaba is almost 66-year-old old man. August 26 this year I'll be turning 66. So always actually look at myself to say, my goodness, what happened to all these years? Because just the other day I was a 22-year-old man getting married. I got married at the age of 22. Herman Mashaba, it's South African, born in a small village called Haramutsi in Amanskral on the 26th of August 1959, and went to school in the same village. Started my sub-A in 1966, long before you were born.
Yes.
In 1966, finished my standard 6 there at Libelo Primary School in Haramutsi, and then moved to Temba because we did not have a high school in our village. Used to use buses to go to high school in Temba, Ratsepo High School. Attended there from 1974 until 1978, and then 1979 went to University of the North, Tefluop then. What I always tell people, that you can imagine someone living in Pretoria having to go to a university 350 kilometers away because as Black people, you would not come anywhere near Pretoria University unless you were a cleaner.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I had to go all the way to Petersburg at the time using trains. You leave Amanskral at 10 at night to arrive Petersburg station in the morning about 5 or so. Wait for buses going to Moria, to then to get to Teflop. I had to go and register myself at the university. Second year of my studies in 1980, one morning, university surrounded by the police, given 6 hours to leave campus. And that unfortunately became the end of my academic dream. At the time, it was the wish and dream of us youth of the time, to leave the country to go for military training, because it was during the dark days of our country's history, the country under PW brought a state of one state of emergency after the other. Our people were being arrested left, right, and center. Our families were being destroyed. So the only hope we had was to leave the country. Fortunately or unfortunately for me, never had good context to get me out of the country. I ended up working late in 1980. And I worked 30 months in my life for two companies. My first job was with Spa Pretoria as a dispatch clerk. The second was with Motan Industries for 23 months. And then all of a sudden I turned 22, and then I realized, my goodness, my grandfather had instilled in me a sense of self-independence. And that's when I decided I'm going to go into business, whether the apartheid government likes it or not. But before going into business, I decided to stabilize my life by getting married, so that I can have a woman who can protect me from myself. And I'm glad, here am I, 43 years later, still married to my wife, and she's really been the best thing in my life. And we've started Black Like Me together in
But before her, you had
1984.
mother women. Before her, you had other ladies.
Well, the reason why I decided to get married, because you can imagine I was brought up in a child-headed household.
Yeah.
My father decided to die when I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
So, to learn about physiology and our development, you learn this in the streets. So we, as young boys, black boys, we thought, our entertainment and our hiding from apartheid was to have girlfriends. And that's a kind of life one led growing up. That's why at the age of 22, I decided, no, this is not the life I want for myself. I want stability. And I'm glad that my wife played that key role of protecting me from myself. And also at the same time gave me stability and became my business partner. Because when I conceived the idea of starting Black Like Me in 1984, she was working for Southern Sons as a junior bookkeeper, and to ask her to come and join our business, because I knew I had to do a lot of traveling. And so having my wife in business really played a key role in making sure that my business is protected. And yeah, even now today in 2016, when I decided to leave business and enter politics, ask her to take over all my responsibilities to run our family businesses. So yeah, so I think really, really grateful for the role that my wife played in my development. And also, I was brought up by my sisters, so women have really played a very key role in my development. My mother and my sisters, because my mother, when I woke up in this world, when I started school, she was working in Johannesburg, looking after white children, cleaning white homes. My sisters had to look after me.
It's a very interesting journey, Herman, because mainly young people today are having this negative apathy about marriage. And it's interesting to hear from you that actually women can play a big role in someone's success, not just to be someone cleaning at home, but someone can inspire you to be great men out there. So, what can you say to a young person out there who's like negative about being married?
Well, look, sometimes people, ideas are justified or their fears are justified. But, for me, it was a conscious decision at the age of 22, because my grandfather instilled in me a sense of family and a sense of stability. And I realized if I needed to really be successful, I needed stability in my life. And I look back at my peers, guys I grew up with, because of lack of stability, I've seen them actually unnecessarily destroying their lives. So, but at the end of the day, I'm not the one to prescribe to other people to pursue the life the same way I did. I mean, I've got two kids. My daughter is 30, not yet married. My son is 28, not yet married. So, I mean,
Yeah.
everyone. We all make choices, and we must accept the consequences of the choices we make.
But someone out there will say, Herman was able to make it during difficult times of apartheid, where black people were not allowed even to do many things like opening business. And today we have opportunities as black people. Now, the question is, what advice you can give it to someone out there today to say you can make it in business? What advice you can give to young people today who want to
Look,
be in business?
Zakel and to those who are watching out there, we lived in an evil system, brutal system, and some of us managed to beat it. However, that does not mean that we don't have challenges today. Today, we've got different type of challenges, high levels of crime in our communities that unfortunately destroys the businesses. The level of corruption of our politician, unfortunately, makes it really very difficult to operate in such a corrupt environment. Um, this porous borders are a big hindrance to our people being able to run successful businesses. So I think our people today are facing different challenges than the ones that we have, but they have challenges. We mustn't really say we have got a new democratic government under the NC. Unfortunately, the NC really created new challenges for the current generation living under a democratic dispensation. So people must just understand that you don't need to really have political connections to make it. I made it, and some mainly black people. We used to make it under difficult circumstances when PW bought and the National Party and the whites were saying we are not capable. We were running successful businesses in the townships and villages, people running shebins and so forth. In fact, I remember growing up when I was in Form 4 and Form 5 in 1977, 78. On a Friday like this, I'll be at the gambling den playing dice. As soon as I leave school, because uh, my mother couldn't afford to buy me clothes or pay for my school fees. I remember when I was in primary, used to be get hiding from school because my mother was unable to pay the 25 cents school fees. School fees those days was 25 cents, but 25 cents was a lot of money. My mother couldn't afford it, and I used to really we used to get punished. So I took a decision when I went to Form 1 to start gambling, to really be able to take care of myself, be able to buy books for myself, buy clothes for myself, wash them myself. My sisters used to do, they made it clear when I went to Form 1 to say, Herman, from now on, we'll cook for you and everything, but washing your clothes, it's your baby. And I used to buy my own clothes from the proceeds of the gambling and so forth. I look at it with my mother working as a domestic worker in Johannesburg. When I went to go and register myself for Form 1, I had to go and do it myself. You can imagine I was what, 14 years of age at the time. you know, when I went to university for the first time, I had never been to Petersburg before, which is 350 kilometers. Um, I inquire. I was what, 17, 18 at the time when register myself after being admitted, after getting the results that I've managed to get university entrance. Made a plan myself through gambling, take a train, go to Teflop, go and register myself. And on the week, the day when I went to go and register, you can imagine I take a train from Amanskral. I think used to leave Amanskral at 10 to 10 going to Petersburg. You arrive in Petersburg in the morning, 9 o'clock, you take a bus. I was told you take a bus to Moria. And you get off, and then it's about 20 minutes walk to the campus of the university, register, and then afterwards, then go back, wait for the next bus back to Petersburg station, get the next train back to back home. At least then I knew I was registered. And then I think 2, 3 weeks later, that's when the university reopened, and we started. And used to survive on the support from my sister, yeah, who was training as a nurse at Baragwanath Hospital. Used to send me by post those days, send me 10 rands every month to be able to survive. Yeah, and that's my life. But at, and I was never a victim in my life. I've always accepted life to be what it was, and I've been trained to accept that life is not easy, and I must use my little brain to find ways to navigate it, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Here, my Zwakele, at my age when I'm supposed to be on a Friday like this, go and play golf and be with friends. I was with you I've been with you the whole day, going from one part of eThekwini to the next, working hard for people of this country where I don't get paid, as you are aware, but the party doesn't really pay me. And I use my privileged position with the support of my family. We support this party, and my family does not expect anything from being involved in politics. It's just to save South Africa from ANC, where we can bring in another credible, black-led, non-racial political party to serve people of this country. We're a non-racial political party, but because of our sheer numbers, we believe we need a political party that can be led by ethical black people, because there are millions of them. We are not short of them. Look at, you and I, we sit on the Senate of ActionSA. Remember the difficult decision we had to make to remove Celia Bring from Tshwane. And we put in one of our Senate members, a 36-year-old Dr. Moya. And we took a chance. I mean, Tshwane was in real bad shape. The townships in Tshwane, the DA was literally refusing to provide services to them, but getting our support. We took that decision. We put in Dr. Moya to run a coalition government. Today, we are proud as ActionSA. We are proud as black people. We are proud as South Africans that this whole nonsense of people saying that black people are lazy, black people are corrupt, and so forth.
Can't do it.
Yeah, we can't do it. You and I, we must be proud every time we look at what's happening in the city of Tshwane, because it's actually giving us as black people an opportunity to demonstrate that this whole narrative driven over centuries to oppress us, using an excuse that we are unreliable, we are corrupt. We are proving to her that we are like anybody else.
It's very interesting, Herman, because normally there's a belief that says black people are lazy and people can't do it. And we had Moleke Tsimbegi last week. In his analysis, he had something to say about the belief that those who owns means of production, the capital, which is mainly white, can lead better. It's a narrative that's being driven out
Lead
there.
better than who?
As if better than black people, because it's black elite that is leading the country down the drain. Which is true in the sense that our leaders who are now in government have led us down the drain, but doesn't mean every black person is corrupt. Every person can lead. What we are saying here is they are capable individuals who can lead. But those who watch it from home, you heard here, we are hearing Herman Mashaba, leader of Action SA. My name is Zwakele Mngwango. It's a very interesting discussion. We just heard now about himself, who is Herman Mashaba. But now we are moving to more understanding now about Action SA.
But before we move into that
Yeah.
one, Zwakele, I take serious exception.
I took offense to.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
a deep offense
Yeah.
when someone says because one black person does something, then all of us we are painted with the same brush.
Exactly.
But when a white person does something, it's a one white person. Honestly, for anybody to say white people can govern, they governed through brutal force, through evil means over many years. You
Yeah.
know, I'm a proud black man. I never put anyone in chains. Black
Yeah.
people never put anyone in chains.
Yeah.
We never developed our economies through the sweat of another race. We've never done that. That's what makes me as a black person so proud. That's why even when I started business conceived the idea in 1984, during the dark days of our country, because I did not have the money to market. But when we were debating what name to use our name, Walter Dube, excellent entrepreneur, the guy who gave us the funding to start the business. One day we were debating names, and one day he says, "What about black like me?"
Yeah.
And immediately I love this. I love this. And I'm a living example now over the last 40 years. It is through commerce where I gave black people the dignity. We've really demonstrated that we can really do it given the opportunity. So I think, honestly, I just want anyone who says blacks cannot really do it, I take serious offense to that.
No, interesting. But now, what I want us to get at the moment is that what motivated Herman Mashaba coming from business successfully. So obviously you went this journey. What we've learned today is it wasn't easy. You didn't get funding from government. Like I think today's youth have an opportunity where we even get funding from government. At your time, there was no funding. You managed to go through hardship. You were successful. But here in a days where you should be enjoying your retirement, sitting at home, you've got kids, they are now all above 25 years. One is 30, one is 28. What motivated Herman Mashaba to form Action SA? And what is the vision that Herman Mashaba have for South Africa?
Well, I got into politics out of frustration, something that I never thought I would do. I don't know if you're aware, before 1994, while the negotiations were carrying on, and we realized that we're going into elections. And at the time, realized that black people don't know and understand democracy. I spent a lot of my own money to get agencies to run voter education in the black communities, because we wanted our people to come out and vote for and unapologetically
ANC,
ANC.
Yeah.
We wanted to, because the risk was that if black people don't come out and vote, well, we might end up with F.W. de Klerk as the president of the country.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of money on ANC on vote education nationwide, and voted for Nelson Mandela.
So you can say you were ANC founder at that time.
Yes, and I wasn't doing for the ANC, I was doing it for my country, and really using my privileged position to make sure that we don't take things for granted. And unfortunately, 10 years down the line, ANC under Thabo Mbeki proved to be a different kind of ANC that I grew up believing it was. They allowed to be corrupted. They were tempted, because overnight they were turned into billionaires, multimillionaires without any working. They made politics in their townships and villages a career path. where they started to corrupt young people through the youth league and so forth. Councillors, you look at the type of councillors they were appointing to be leaders in the community. They were taking wrong people, criminals, and actually letting people who were running businesses, good businesses before apartheid, to go into politics where they were promising them to make better money because these were popular people. So, and unfortunately, in the process, they ended up literally corrupting almost the entire society, And I got concerned and I started engaging them. I became really very vocal. At every opportunity I would get to address gathering, I will raise these issues in public
with ANC
platforms.
leaders as well.
Yeah, even in public, I'll be invited to come and address because of being popular as a successful entrepreneur. I will be always get invitations to come and to address people, and I'll raise these issues about my dissatisfaction with the ANC. And I voted for Thabo Mbeki once in the second term. I decided no, I had to look for alternatives.
Did you vote for Zuma? For Zuma's term? You still voting for
No,
ANC?
no. Even Thabo Mbeki's second term, I didn't vote for the. I only voted for them twice, but I've always been a voter because I'm a student of politics. I think I've got a fair idea of democratic systems. I mean, I've had to read. I was studying politics at university, so because of my vocal nature, I attracted the attention of the DA. Because what happened is when Jacob Zuma was elected the first time in 2009, something didn't make sense to me. And then when he was contesting in 2014, I then said, you know what, if Jacob Zuma gets over 60%, I am going to join a political party for the first time in my life because I was never a member of the ANC or belong to any political party.
Just supporting them.
Yeah, just supporting them. They were my friends. Some of them, someone like Ronnie Mwamwepa, we were like brothers, and a lot of ANC people, Tito Mboweni, people I knew quite well. Lots of them, even today. I've got good relationship with ANC people, but they know I'm really disappointed with them because they really embarrassed us. They actually wanted to give credence to this narrative that black people cannot make it. That's why some black people, educated black people, would make the statement that blacks can't make it. There's in Sesotho, we grew up being told that which means a black man's medicine is a white man.
Yeah.
I've always rejected that, and I still do, and I find it really very strange where some people, in fact, including educated ones, actually they've bought into this narrative, knowing very well that we were deprived opportunities, we were deprived to go to school by force, and now you can imagine you get oppressed, your land is taken away from you, you're oppressed in your own country, not to go to school, not to run businesses, and so not even do clerical work for centuries. And then all of a sudden you get the freedom, and then 30 years down the line you are accused because of ANC failures. Now the entire black race is
corrupt.
Is corrupt. It's for that reason what drove me to go into politics, and got into politics through the DA. At the time, Musi Maimane was their leader. I thought perhaps this is the party that might unite us. You remember after 1994, Desmond Tutu eloquently put in this whole rainbow nation concept, and that was a beautiful. I mean, Desmond Tutu actually meant it, and I believe Nelson Mandela also wanted to create a non-racial, fair society. unfortunately, ANC corruption affected us. And I thought DA is an alternative. You guys, you were in the
Yeah.
DA, I said, no, you know what, Herman, instead of complaining, throw your head in the ring. Only to find you've got your own personal experience with the
Yeah.
DA. Unfortunately,
Been there.
some people in the DA, they carry what I call Verwoerdian values. So they still, so they want they want the black vote, but they don't believe in us. They don't
Yeah.
believe that black people can be trusted, can be leaders. And I became a victim of that when I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, where some people in the DA did not understand why I had to provide the services to black communities who did not vote for the DA. And I mean, constitutionally, anywhere in the world, when you govern, you don't just provide services to only those who voted for you. You have a constitutional obligation to provide services to everyone, not especially the marginalized, people who were oppressed for centuries, to take them out of poverty. Unfortunately, some people, in the DS part, led by Helen Zeller. There's some good people in the DA who are for social justice, but unfortunately, Helen's influence within the DA is what's actually creating this problem. And to think that before I got to know her closely, I used to have so much respect for her, and I thought,
All of us. All of us.
I
Yeah.
thought it's a good South African we can work
Yeah.
with to transform this country. Until I got closer to her, I realized,
To
my
know her
goodness,
better.
I'm dealing with a Verwoerd kind of person who doesn't believe. She thought she could really use us to protect her constituency and her value system. And lucky
So
enough,
that's when you
we
were
were
called
given
AFF
it.
mayor because you were delivering services to black communities
Yes.
and they were seen as voting EFF. So
Yeah,
then you were
yeah,
led
came
back
out
as
with
EFF mayor because you were delivering to black communities in townships.
yes, and came out with a campaign within the DA white structures that I'm an EFF mayor. You remember that
Yeah.
the campaign calling me an EFF mayor, and my sin was that I was not listening to her that I must go and cut grass in Sandton when I had townships and informal settlements where people were living in abject poverty with no toilets. They did not, Helen didn't see why I needed. That's why she mobilized some white councillors to make life difficult for me. But obviously, I didn't concern myself with that. What obviously disturbed me was when she approached the ANC to come out with motion of no confidence. You remember I declared the
Yeah.
corruption as public enemy number one. We had the General Sibia heading our corruption fighting unit, where in the 3 years, 35 billion rands worth of fraud and corruption cases. And Helen used this to working with the Institute of Race Relations to
IRR.
say, yeah, IRR, to say, you know what, let's remove this cheeky black. He's after you for corruption and he doesn't want to cut grass in Sandton.
Yeah.
Says, guys, ANC, you don't have the numbers, come out with a motion of no confidence. I'll get you enough white councillors in the city of Joburg to remove this cheeky black who doesn't listen. So obviously ANC, it was in their best interest to remove me because I was pursuing criminal charges against the corruption.
But I mean, because I was there at the time, it was always a perception that as you are a mayor of Johannesburg and there was EFF was seen as controlling the city, EFF was seen as getting tenders. Have you ever at any stage be in a situation where EFF asked for favors in terms of tender system in the Joseph Johannesburg? Because it was a perception that was created that EFF is getting tenders or they are being managed through tender systems. Have they ever asked for tenders?
Well, I'm on record, even when I I had a press conference. Remember on the 21st of October 2019 when I had that press conference to announce my resignation. That in the 3 years I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, not a single person in the EFF ever approached me or discussed with me any issue around tenders because I mean, I was fighting corruption. I had an independent of GFIS to deal with cases of corruption. But I can't say the same. And I said this, and I'm saying this to you. I can't say the same about the DA. You remember when I was the DA, in the 3 years, I fired 3 DA MMC
Yeah.
people for corruption. And you know very well, every time when I brought this to the DA leaders, there was always an argument as to why I must fire them and so forth. But I was adamant. I remember the last one I fired when the DA wanted me to give them time. But I said, time for what? Guys, here's a forensic
Yeah.
evidence without any doubt that this person is corrupt. I said, if you guys don't want to give me the permission, which is a courtesy for me to bring this to your attention. This is a matter for the city of Johannesburg. It's not a DA matter. I'm just bringing it to attention because I represent the party. It would not be fair for me to fire one of us without informing the party. And I said, I remember that meeting in Cape Town on a Sunday. I said, guys, tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, I'm issuing the statement. I'm writing to this MMC. I'm firing him. If you guys want me to give you another week, I'm telling you, I'm not giving you another week. Tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, if you guys are not giving me the permission today or the mandate, I don't need your permission. That just needs your mandate. If you're not prepared, tomorrow morning, I'm going to announce to people of Johannesburg that I'm stepping aside because I've got a case of corruption of my MMC. The party I represent does not want me to give me the permission. I'm stepping aside, and when the party so decide, I'm happy to come back. And and I remember that day,
Yeah,
that Sunday.
It was a difficult day.
It was a very difficult day, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, in the process, hey, I got hated for that, as if I was blackmailing the party. I wasn't prepared to be compromised. But, you know, remember Zakel saying to the DA leadership to say, guys, do you realize that what you are asking me to do, you are compromising me? Because in the event that you are the week that you are I'm asking for your permission, if this matter comes into the public domain, how am I going to defend the decision? Because this is not a party matter. This is the city of Johannesburg matter. I have a responsibility as the mayor to fight corruption and not cover it. So I said, no, I'm not prepared to be compromised by you. So if you, as FedEx, you are not prepared to give me the mandate to fire this guy tomorrow morning, I'm telling you, I'm stepping aside, and I'm not going to sugarcoat the matter. I'm going to tell people why I'm stepping aside.
Yeah.
So
It was a very interesting journey, but now the question is, you went all this pain within the DA. Now Action SA. Let's talk about Action SA now. Your values, your own values, and values of Action SA. How it come together?
Well, you know, when I made the announcement to resign, remember, I made the announcement, I think, about 2 months or so before I resigned. When James Self resigned from the DA, then Helen Zeller throw her head in the ring to take over from James Self. And by then I knew the Helen's agenda and had discussion with the DA. At the time, she was working for the IRR. Remember,
Yes.
she wasn't even in federal, but she had control, including actually with her and IRR. They were on our caucus WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in caucus, any caucus, you've got your own WhatsApp group that belongs to caucus. Helen and RR were on our caucus group, so they knew all the fights and the arguments, and me putting my foot down because I was not prepared to allow anyone to dictate that I must go and cut grass in Senten and so forth, and forget about poor communities. I used to be tough on some of the DA white councillors who did not attend events in black townships. So I used to take them on, and this like became like it was a racial matter, because they were not happy with me when we go and deliver services in the townships or even in the suburbs. I would make sure that all the political parties supporting me must I give them a chance to speak at these events. They did not want me to invite the EFF. In the meantime, they are the ones who imposed the EFF on me.
Government,
and without EFF support, there was no way I could run the government. So, and I remember when EFF didn't want me from the beginning, I said to the DA, please don't lose this opportunity. Let me step aside, get someone else who the EFF can feel comfortable. But obviously, over time, EFF liked me because I was consulting them. Funzi and Funzi was my right-hand man to engage EFF because never wanted to engage EFF on my own. Always, once a month, Funzi and I will consult the EFF and all the other parties, including, when we do a budget. We'll go out for 2-3 days on a session where I take the EFF and other parties, take them through the budget before I take it to council, so that they understand line by line what the budget is going to be used for. DA didn't take kindly to this. They felt I must not consult. I must just do things as I please, which, I mean, honestly, you don't have to be, you have to be stupid or irresponsible to treat a coalition arrangement without respect. I wasn't really born up to be like that. I know I can be a tough person, but fair is fair. When I do a deal, even in business, I do a deal that works for both parties, because if you want a successful transaction and do a deal, don't take advantage of someone.
Refer to each other.
You've got to do a deal that works for both parties. So for the DA never consulted, they felt consulting the EFF. I'm an EFF mayor, but that never really
But the idea of ActionSA, where it come from?
Came when now, as soon as I made the announcement that in the event, remember I made the announcement 2 months before to say if Helen Zille is elected to take over as the chair, I'm out. Remember, I brought it actually to the attention of when Helen threw her head in the ring. I immediately called Musi, my man, and gave him the evidence to say, Musi, this woman is working with the ANC to come out with a motion of no confidence to remove me. So what are you going to do about it? And Musi asked me to give him a week to think about it. And unfortunately, Musi, a week later, never did anything about it. And I decided I'm not going to wait and live my life to Musi not making decision. That's when I came out with a press statement. Remember, I came out with a press statement that shook you guys in the DA to say, guys, in the event Helen Zille comes back, she wins the election to be the federal chair, I'm out. And I gave reasons why I'm not prepared to really work with someone of the values of Helen Zille.
Then ActionSA, what?
And then people said, please form your own political parties. They were phoning radio stations. I don't know where people were getting my phones from. And I said, oh my goodness, Herman, what did you get yourself into? Where and how do I start a political party? Luckily, my chief of staff, Michael Bermond, who really understood my frustration with the DA, said, Herman, we came out with a concept with him and Andre Kutsie to say, let's. I said to them, guys, I want to run a research to find out if these people actually are real people. You know, before I can actually even think of starting a political party, that's when we came out with this concept of the people's dialogue to engage South Africans if they genuinely are looking for a political party, and also putting conditions up front that, guys, if you want me to start a political party, you've got to subscribe to a non-racial South Africa. We must subscribe to a free market economy. Don't come and tell me we want to communism, whatever. Just because I believe in a free market economy, but I believe in social justice. If you are not committed to take our people out of poverty, everyone, then please then don't tell me about starting a political party. Let's talk about ethical leadership, that we go committing to really be ethical public servants. Let's commit to the rule of law. We must never be in this arrangement for friendship. You must believe in the rule of law must be the supreme. Let's commit to ensure that uh, we commit to quality education. When I was really concerned about how the NC has destroyed our education, we must commit to this. And 3 months later, after the launch of the People's Dialogue, 2.4 million South Africans said we want these political parties. We subscribe to these values. And yes, that's why on the 29th of August, 2020, right in the middle of COVID, we launched ActonSA with these values. And these are the values we subscribe to. And we're so happy that I was been watching you because I knew you through being on FedEx and Federal Council and KZN. Initially, when we started, you remember we had Makosi Koza as a provincial chair, only to discover, my goodness, I've made a mistake. And when Makosi Koza left, remember I called you to my house here in KZN, and I said, I'm taking a chance. And I said, look, if Zakele doesn't take it, doesn't matter. You know, I'm one person. I always believe failure. Failure, you can only accept failure after having tried.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, and not only in South Africa, people all over the world, people are too scared to take chances, to take a risk. You know, whereas for me, taking risk is second nature.
Yeah.
And do I make mistakes? Absolutely, yes. I make mistakes from time to time. That's why I've written so much in about one of my biggest fears, Zakel, in life is to be surrounded by weak people.
Yeah.
It is in my DNA. It's something my grandfather instilled in me in my youth. I must avoid weak people around me.
Yeah.
Because he trained me to take chances, to use my brain to correct this imperfect life. And so I live by that motto of being surrounded by good people. So please, from time to time, when I disagree with you or we have an argument, that I will take it personal. No, it is my nature, because I'm the kind of person that I've accepted that life is not perfect.
That's what I enjoy,
And the only way we're going to correct it is to always try something new. We can't be, I was in business and built big brands, and I've always believed in not coming out with me too brand.
Yeah.
If you want to change life, you must come out with something new. But
Yeah.
whereas a lot of people, if you deal with professors at universities and so forth, they train you to do what other people have done in the past. And life doesn't work. Success doesn't work like that. You succeed in life by doing something that someone else has not done in the past before.
It's interesting. Well, I think what I enjoy mainly is that, Herman, you are a president. We sit together in Senate. we can differ. I don't feel I can't challenge you on if you've got different views. I differ with you. I will move to the decision that was taken, which I differed. But today I look back and say, shit, this man was correct.
Yeah,
Which is very interesting because
but I've also, but some of the decision I take are also wrong.
no, I know.
And I also failed. You remember
Yeah.
how many times I got defeated in Senate?
You try to
know,
push that
I'll try
penalty.
to give an example where when we were preparing for our policy conference,
Yeah.
I was so adamant that I was going to convince you that we must adopt death penalty,
penalty.
and I got defeated, and it wasn't personal. I think
Yeah.
you guys put in very strong views that why it would be wrong for us as ActionSA to adopt the death penalty, and I accepted it. I'm not I wasn't holding this on anyone. In fact, I appreciated afterwards when people were coming forward with other alternative movements, and actually got me excited that if I was alone, I would have just imposed the death penalty. So that's a kind of person
It's
I am.
interesting you talk about a policy conference because it gives me to something that says we are now 31 years of democracy, and the majority of Black South Africans still live beyond poverty line, below poverty line. And the question is, we understand there were policies. Some of these policies may have been having good intentions, but they had bad outcomes. Now, we adopted inclusive economic empowerment, which seek to empower Black majority without depriving others. Can you share with someone at home, in simple terms, how this policy will able to empower a Black person who's sitting out there who feel like, is ActionSA in for me or not?
Remember one of the core values of ActionSA is social justice. So transformation for us as ActionSA is non-negotiable. So you can't tell us is a failed triple B of ANC or nothing. Because there are some people who are saying no, the triple B of ANC has failed. Yes, it has failed, but that does not mean that is the end of the world. We must not pursue alternative transformation policies that can work for the majority, not benefit the people who are closer to him and Mashaba or Zwakele. That's why at our policy we adopted this inclusive economic empowerment. I remember actually Dr. Moya and Lerato are the ones who came out with this concept of inclusive economic empowerment, and where we are saying, you know what, instead of this ANC triple B that is only benefiting those who are politically connected, let's come out with a policy that can touch and affect the lives of ordinary Black South African, Black, colored, and Indian who are deprived of opportunities. But at the same time, let's make it easy for business to operate. So right now, it costs the businesses, this triple B policy, it costs the businesses 4 to 6%, because they've got to come out with very stringent compliance. And this compliance is actually a moving target. So for us as ActionSA, we want to make it easy to say we do away with ANC triple B, come out with inclusive economic empowerment law, where we are saying to businesses, you don't have to have partners you don't need. But we are saying all businesses except SMMEs must pay 5%, between 3 and 5% of their profits into what we call an opportunity fund. This opportunity fund must be run by people appointed by Parliament, and they must report to Parliament every year how much they collected. And our team, our financial guys, did an exercise that in the first year of at the time of implementation of this, the first year alone, they came out with a figure of what, 55.7 billion rands. This money and then it'll increase with business, with the economy growing, where this money must be used exclusively into black communities. Make sure that no black child goes to bed without having something to eat. No black child is unable to go to school because of not having the means. No black communities. We must go and develop schools, that a school in Soweto and a school in public school in Soweto and a public school in Sandton. If it's a public school, it must have the same facilities. We must go and develop those areas and those communities. We must fund black entrepreneurs. As indicated to you, I had to get the 30,000 rands to start Black Lamy from a black business guy in Mabopane, Walter Dube, who didn't know me. I went to sell my idea to them. So it's very difficult for black entrepreneurs to get the funding. So let this opportunity fund be used for purposes to uplift the black communities, those who were previously disadvantaged, and to run for 30 years, because it took ANC took us back 30 years. So this is not going to be a 30, a permanent feature. We believe if and when black South Africans can give us the mandate to be the government and we implement this policy, we know in 30 years we will have enough black engineers, enough black industrialists who were created through this fund. That's really what we want to do, because and because now people running this fund must not report to us as ActonSA, must report to Parliament on an annual basis to report how much they've collected and which projects they've run, how many black kids they've educated, how many black entrepreneurs they've funded, and so forth. They report directly to Parliament. So we believe that a system like this, in 30 years' time, we can see an explosion of black talent in this country, and that we can be respected. Those who are saying blacks cannot govern, 30 years later, they will see the potential of the black race, because we're the same as anyone else.
But Herman, you've been vocal on illegal immigration, and some NGOs will label you being a xenophobic South African. What is an issue that you can say, the issue of illegal immigration, how it affects South Africans? Because you always talk about putting South Africa first, and you always talk about citizens of South Africans must be protected. And already you've been vocal about amendment of the Constitution to say there are clauses that should really be clear that South Africa can't be for all. South Africa should be a country for South Africans. What can you respond to someone who's saying you've been xenophobic? And also, what is it that you think ActonSA will do when you get to government to ensure that we could secure our borders?
Well, Zakhele, a country without borders cannot really be a country. Why do we then have to really have laws and have a constitution and our sovereignty? So obviously, if we don't have borders, that means we're not a sovereign. We're not a country. We are chaos, and there's no way you can ever build an economy in an environment of chaos. That's the reason why our economy is underperforming. That's why we're the mega capital of the world. That's why international drug cartels have identified South Africa to really be a playground for them, because our constitution protects them. Then it protects criminals more than it can protect law-abiding citizens. All these NGOs and so-called lawyers for human rights are for chaos, actually not for chaos, they're for the oppression of a black race, because they know this law. I can tell you, ANC legal people did not see this coming. They were more interested in power and corruption. How can you say South Africa belongs to all who live in it, regardless of how they came into a country? Someone is a criminal, because if you come into South Africa illegally, honestly, I can't call you anything else than a criminal. Because a criminal is someone who's broken the law.
Yeah.
So someone who came into South Africa illegally, It's a criminal,
Yeah.
and that's why I was called xenophobic when I was raised in this matter, including ANC taking me to the South African Human Rights Commission, only to find what I was advocating. It's true. If someone comes into South Africa illegally, that person is a criminal. You know.
So government challenging you
Mm.
for trying to protect the country,
And
but government take
yes,
you to court.
court. So the preamble of our constitution says uh, South Africa belongs to all who live in it. And for us as Action SA, we say no. South Africa belongs to South Africans. We need to change our preamble. But it's not just the preamble, because the preamble leads us to the Bill of Rights. Because the Bill of Rights says, if now the South Africa belongs to all who live in it, then South Africa has got an obligation. If you get sick, we must treat, we must provide services to you. We must provide schooling. uh, You enjoy all the benefits of a South African. Now, I want to ask you, today, can you go to England or United States without providing proof that you've got medical cover? You've got the resources to take care of yourself when you're in the United States or any civilized nation, any country of Botswana. You know, we go to Botswana,
Nigeria.
go to Botswana or Nigeria. Well, the Zimbabwe, go to Zimbabwe, get sick there. If you can take care of yourself, I can tell you the Zimbabwean government is not going to look after you. And I think we all support that principle all over the world. Why then do people expect South Africa to be
free for all.
free for all? We must be a country where we test to see if people can survive, the country can survive in an environment of chaos, because the Bill of Rights, that's what it says. And that's why our judges, obviously, they follow the law. That's why for us as Action SA, we're calling to say, no, let's change the constitution so that the Bill of Rights must say, for you to really get the services of South Africa, you must be a South African. Anyone who's not a South African, you must take care of yourself. But then it leads us to say, when you get permission to come to South Africa, you must prove to us that you've got money to take care of yourself. You've got in medical cover to cover yourself, because we are not going to cover you like all the other countries. So obviously, it's not just the preamble, because the problem it's in the preamble and the Bill of Rights, and that's what we're calling on, so that we can put South Africa first. That's what every country's responsibility is, to put its own citizens first.
Herman, we've been trying in KZN, for example, to talk about insourcing and also put motions in council, and they always get a response to say it's so expensive to insource security guards and cleaners. But you did in Joburg, in Johannesburg, and someone may ask a question to say, what Herman did differently that can be done by other municipalities? And also, is it true that it's cheaper to outsource services than insourcing?
No, it is more expensive to outsource and subject your own citizens to exploitative measures. For me, I find it really very difficult to actually even understand why COSATU supported this exploitative policies. Where, when I was the mayor, discovered the city must pay a tenderpreneur, someone who doesn't do anything. We paid them 16,000 rands, but the poor security guard who looks after our property must get 3,500, 4,000 rands, and they don't get any other benefit. They don't get an appointment letter. This tenderpreneur, because when they look at all these guys who employ cleaners and security guards, people don't get appointment letters. They don't get any benefits whatsoever. They don't get paid on time. They're not sure what day they're gonna get paid. But the municipality, we pay you on time so that you can pay your employees. But then what happens? People go to, there was one of the companies, the biggest broker in Joburg. The guy had 11 cars and was happy to boost on social media. And I'm not talking about the ordinary cars. He's happy with that he's got 11 cars. In the meantime, poor cleaners and security guys were battling to really survive. So that's why we did an exercise. That's why we're doing it. Are you aware? In Tshwane, we are now in sourcing. Now, after Johannesburg, we're now left as a mayor. Now in Tshwane, under the Moya and the NC and EFF, we are in sourcing.
So you're
But where
so you're
NC,
assuring him and you're assuring someone watching at home that in Tshwane, where Action SA is in government, they will be insourcing
we are
of
in
security
sourcing.
guards.
As I'm talking to you, we are in sourcing, and it's cheaper and it gives people dignity, because once they're employed by the state, they get our employment letters, they enjoy the benefits, they get paid on time. You know, whereas if you subject them to tenderpreneurs, unfortunately. I remember when uh, 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 conveyed this to DA Federal Council about the insourcing program, and DA said to me, "Insourcing, it's not their policy."
Yeah, I remember. I remember.
They said it's not their policy, and I said, "Okay, guys," because I was trying to convince them that, guys, I've identified an opportunity to give black people the dignity.
Yeah.
I said, "Can't you guys do it in Cape Town? Because all these guys who are running this services are tenderpreneurs." I said, "You're going to stop this because these are people who are feeding this ANC corruption." So when they said to me, it's not their policy, I said, one thing, look, I can't tell you how to go and do it in Cape Town, but I can tell you, as DA in the city of Johannesburg, under my leadership, we are going to insource. So it is up to you. You go and make it your policy, whether you go and make it your policy or not. But in the city of Johannesburg, we are going to insource.
You just spoke about Tshwane insourcing. I spoke earlier. I was one of those at Senate who was not in support of your proposal to govern with the ANC and EFF there. But when I look back, I say, you know what? This man had a vision. He may have thought about this. Are you excited about the achievement of Action SA in Tshwane?
More than excited, because remember how nervous we were with the financial status of the city of Tshwane. Remember, we had one debate to say, if Tshwane was a business, we would liquidate it.
Yeah.
But because it's a city, we can't liquidate it. We must go and fix it. But the achievement in less than a year exceeded all of us. It exceeded our expectation. I'm excited. People are being insourced. The city of Tshwane, from the 1st of July, they are going to employ additional 200 police officers. The city of Tshwane has never employed since 2014. You can imagine the city every year grows, but you don't increase your capacity. The city of Tshwane, in their budget, fully funded budget since 2021, they are going to be employing 200 per additional metro or police. You remember what I did in Johannesburg? Because the rule of law is key to any successful government. When I took over, I became the mayor of the city of Johannesburg on the 22nd of August 2016, and then I had to do an adjustment budget end of February 2017. In that adjustment budget already announced the employment of it's at 1,008 or something like that police officers. uh, almost double the number of police officers
Yeah.
because the city had not they were not employing officers. That's why
Yeah.
they get involved in corruption. They're overworked, underpaid, with no tools of trade. I remember, I mean, the first year working with these guys before our budget, they had no tools of trade, torches. You know, we go into these hijacked buildings.
Yeah.
You know, I expect the police to have torches and have handcuffs. They did not have. We had to use our phones. You know, I'm saying to myself, what on earth is going on? Whereas the city, I mean, the city of Joburg, when I took over, they had
Yeah.
a budget, international travel of 76 million rands,
Yeah.
76 the million for international travel. And I'm saying, but the city will travel to where,
Mm.
uh, because I couldn't stop it immediately. Then said to the city manager of Trevor Fowler, I said, Trevor, please do me a favor. I can't stop people from traveling because I don't know what they're traveling for. It doesn't make sense to me. So please, before you sign anyone to travel overseas, can you please bring it to my office? I just want to have a look. Look, I know I can't stop it, but I just want to see to satisfy myself because I have a constitutional obligation to protect
Yeah.
the residents' money.
Yeah.
You know, out of the 76 the million, 76 million, you know how much was spent in the first year? 3.6 million.
Mm.
Because you know what? No one that came were prepared to present their motivation for traveling. So
Save
that's
money.
how I stopped.
Yeah, that's
But
interesting.
and look, my intention wasn't to stop. I just needed to understand what
Yeah.
this traveling. You know, the mayors of the 76 million, 27 million was for the mayors international travel.
Yeah.
First year, I never traveled. My office never traveled. No, um,
Save a lot of money.
yeah, 27
Yeah.
million rents. You know where we took that money? We took it into a extension of operating
Mm.
hours in clinics and libraries.
Mm.
You know, because the city used to run clinics open the Monday to Friday, 8 to 4
Yeah.
o'clock. Goodness. Well, that means at weekends they don't operate. And I'm saying, but this doesn't make sense. It's
Yeah.
what you guys are saying. You must only get sick between 8 and 4. After 6, if you get
Yeah.
sick, you must only come to clinic the following day. Weekends, the clinics are closed. I said, no,
Yeah.
this cannot.
Close.
So we ran a pilot project. And by the time I left the city, 26 clinics were operating on extended hours.
That's good.
Also, I can't remember the number of libraries which were
Yeah.
also operating the extended hours. Managed to get savings of 2.1 billion rands,
Yeah.
or
For money.
cutting
Yeah.
out on things which were not really necessary for government to
Yeah.
provide, like having DSTV, full
Yeah.
bouquet in all the senior managers'
Yeah.
offices, people getting newspapers
Yes.
delivered to their homes. I stopped all that nonsense.
That's interesting, Herman, but I don't want to keep you forever. But I will never leave this interview and discussion without asking this question. Action SA went to an election. When we went to an election with the PAC, which included the DA, the IFP. Then, after elections, there were talks about forming government of national unity with GNU, whether it's GNU coalition, whatever it is, but we now call it GNU. Action SA decided not to be part of GNU. Um, Someone want to know why Action SA decided not to be part of GNU, and also what impact do you think it had for Action SA to go to an election with a PEC?
Well, I think, you're fortunate enough you sit in our Senate. I wasn't comfortable with that, us getting involved closely with the DA. But look, I think we did not have a choice. We realized that we needed to find ways to remove the ANC, and I accepted it in good faith, as much as I wasn't comfortable. And that affected us very badly because black voters did not trust voting for us because they thought we'll give our votes to the DA. And the white voters obviously also felt, because DA and ActionSA are working together. Let's make these two political parties strong so that they can co-govern.
Mm.
Unfortunately, ActionSA got punished twice. We lost a lot of white support because, and I think they were not doing it for malice or anything like that. They were doing it because they thought, let make DA a strong
Strong.
party, and then Action SA will get the black support.
Mm.
Unfortunately, blacks were not happy with us being associated with the DA,
Yeah.
and then white support obviously voted us because they thought we'll get the black support. So we've learned a lesson. So okay, fast forward to uh, uh, the so-called government of national unity. I think for us, you remember, I was on record to say, President Cyril Ramaphosa is playing with the emotions of South Africa. This is not the government of national unity. This is Cyril trying to do away with opposition, because obviously DA had fallen into their trap to be swallowed by the DA. So we've realized that as Section SA that there's a space for an effective, constructive opposition.
Yeah.
Let's rather be on the opposition benches. We were invited, as you are aware, by the ANC to be part of the GNU, and we deliberately refused, and I'm glad we did. Otherwise, there would not be any opposition in this country as we speak. So yeah, so our position is really very clear, that we decline to be part of the GNU, and our power and our decision not to be part of the GNU has helped when this budget. Remember the debacle with budget
Yeah.
and VAT,
VAT.
where VAT with VAT when it came to our attention. Remember that DA was prepared to support the ANC 2% VAT
Yeah.
on condition that ANC must abandon all transformation legislation. You remember, it made us very angry to say,
Yeah.
my goodness, no ways. So when NC approached us, we managed with them to put together the right numbers on condition that NC, you must commit that 1st of May, there's not going to be a VAT. We are prepared to support you, get you the numbers, and we managed to get the numbers over.
Yeah.
So actually, because DA was always under impression that ANC can't govern without them. So we have
Yeah.
actually demonstrated to South Africa that government can actually be formed in this country without any party holding anyone ransom. So NC is a free party today. They can govern without the DA. But also, ANC also knows that we can also govern this country without them, because we can
Yeah.
remove ANC tomorrow if they start continuing with their corruption, because we've got other parties we can co-govern with, with the DA, EFF, uh, and MK. In the event ANC continues with the corruption, we can remove them. It's up to us as South Africans, as long as we commit to fighting corruption and doing the right thing. So I think we're in a space as a country where no political party can hold this country to ransom. So we, in Section SA, we are proud that we played that role of actually demonstrating to South Africans that no one political party can blackmail, because ANC, DA was using extortion and
Yeah.
blackmail. And we've demonstrated, don't really play with us, because transformation laws are not going to be removed, but not ANC laws. We will come out with laws that will make it easy for businesses to operate, but we need a redress for black
Yeah.
people, because they suffered over over hundreds of years
Yeah.
with very brutal laws. Brutal. We lost, I mean, in my family alone, I mean, I lost two family members. My my grandfather's brother, even up to today, disappeared
Yeah.
under the apartheid laws. His property taken away from him. From my mother's side, my mother's grandfather, got shot by a farmer, you know. But those are things that we are not holding us back.
Yeah.
But these are things that we are saying are real. They happened,
Yeah.
and the things that we must never forget. But to forgive, I mean, we've forgiven as Black South Africans. I think one of our biggest weakness for us as Black people is because we easily want to forget. You can imagine a Black person saying, we must move on. I mean,
Yeah.
you listen to some of the Black people saying, no, we must move on and forget about race.
Yeah.
What, my good, what nonsense is this?
Yeah.
you know, these are people who I believe are victims of indoctrination over many years. And I think some of us, we want to move on, and we've moved on. I'm a living example of working with everyone. When I started Black Like Me in 1985, I brought in a white African from Boksburg. He had no money, but he had the knowledge to produce products. He was a chemist. Brought him into the business, had the same shares as I did,
Yeah.
gave him 25% shares. And Johan worked with us very well during the dark days of apartheid, where actually those years it was not even possible to just have a one-on-one discussion with a white person. But I
Yeah. Yeah.
approached Johan, and I made him. We
Yeah.
made a lot of money
Yeah.
together, and we played a key role. And our
Yeah.
party.
Yes.
We're a party that
Non-racial.
non-racial,
Mm.
but we see color. You
Yeah.
remember the other day,
Yeah.
I was saying to my colleagues in Senate, I said, guys, you can't tell me you can't see that I'm black,
Yeah.
or I cannot see Michael that is white.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's not fool ourselves
Yeah.
that we don't see color. No, I
Yeah.
mean, it's
It's a true. Yeah. Yeah.
you've got to really be
Yeah.
crazy
But Herman,
to.
in really, last thing I really want to hear from you is a last question. We had this interesting discussion, and you gave us the background of yourself as Herman Mashaba. You told us how you formed Action SA. You told us about the values. You told us about your views about GNU. You told about Tswane. But someone out there will say, we are going towards the next election, but to go to this election, you need strong structures of Action SA. I know there's so many activists who are watching us right now live in this discussion, and there are other people who want to say, look, I've now listened to Herman Mashaba. I really want to join this organization. What can you say about importance of forming branches and forming structures in all provinces in in South Africa?
In fact, one thing I've learned uh, now in politics, I'm obviously quite new in politics, so I'm still learning. But I learn, and I don't make the same mistake twice, or do things. So I think right now it is time for us, and we are going to make an impact come the next elections. And you know why we're going to make an impact? Because ever since we started during COVID, so we never had an opportunity to form very strong structures. And then when we were focusing on national elections, I think we didn't really put emphasis on putting together strong, credible structures, so that when you and I, you as a
Yeah.
provincial chairperson for KZN, you must have people who can
Yeah.
rely on, people who've obviously put the money on the table. So
Yeah.
that's why when we started, we said membership is free. It was a wrong decision.
Yeah.
The people must put the money where the mouth is. So we're saying, if you want to be a member of Action SA, put your money
Yeah.
on the table to be a member and belong to a branch. So we put in together those measures, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you know. There's something that I'm on the roadshow going all over the country, opening branches, because when you open a branch with 200 or even 50 people, you're going to have 50 people who have paid, put their money into this project. And membership is valid for a year. So, whereas originally, remember, we had free membership and it was a permanent membership, was such a big mistake.
So
But
you opted not to go to parliament to form branches
yeah, no,
because you had a
now
chance. You were number on the
you
list.
remember,
You're supposed to go to parliament.
and I
You
said
opted
no.
no.
I said, remember when you guys were cross with me when I said no, I'm not going to parliament. I'm going to focus on building structures. One thing I have experienced at crisscross this country when in the 80s when I was establishing Black Like Me, I know the importance of having people on the
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah.
And I can see in politics the same thing, principle of works. So we've got to really put in people who are committed, who've put their skin on the line, and to make sure that these branches are led by credible people. And I always at branches. We're going to be launching a branch tomorrow.
Yes.
And when I speak to after they elect the chairperson, I tell the members, I said, guys, this chairperson's responsibility is to ensure that he must hold regular meetings monthly at the latest, and put in an executive team coming from all the wards. And I said and I always tell the branches to say, guys, if this chairperson does not grow your branch, we can see it on our system. If the branch does not grow, the branch does not have activities, please, long before the elections,
Yeah.
6 months' time, if this guy doesn't perform, please have a motion of no confidence against because we don't want to have a chairperson of a branch who
Doesn't
sleep
perform. Yeah.
on this thing, on the
Yeah.
wheel. So you must remove him. Come
Yeah.
out with a motion. We'll support, because we'll have. Fortunate enough, you can't mess around with us. Our system is live. You can tell us how many members in each branch, in each PD. So the guy can tell us he's a hard worker, he's doing well. We want to see activity, monthly activities in these branches. We want to see these branches growing, because if branches are growing, that means there's people who started in a branch. That means they're going house to house every day, recruiting and registering more people.
Yeah.
And in that way, we, I'm certain as Action SA, we're going to make an impact. And also, I think I want South Africans to know that we've also taken a decision that we are not going to, unfortunately, contest all municipalities. We must look at strategic municipalities. We only 4.5-year-old party. We mustn't want to get out of our mother's womb and start running. So let's to grow organically. It's very important. And one of the things that I think is exciting about Action SA is this green umbrella concept. You didn't ask me about it, and it's a very. I'm really so excited that Action SA, we made history in this country without going through a by-election.
Yeah.
With all the parties fighting, spending a fortune on by-election to get one councillor. Action SA, since the beginning of this year, we've already got up to date 42 additional councillors in municipalities where we never contested.
just
And
by engaging with
yeah,
smaller
because
parties,
what
coming
we do is
together.
we smaller parties in various municipalities, strategic ones, who wants to be part of Action SA, we embrace them, bring them in.
So basically, Herman, you are saying all parties who are watching here must come and let's talk and let's form one green umbrella.
Yeah,
That's what we are
coming
saying.
to
We
the
make a
Action
call.
SA, you're coming into the political party that has got the capacity. You're not going to be on your own. You don't have to go and use your money to contest the elections. You'll have the Action SA umbrella to really carry you. We
Yeah.
are represented by 6 top members of parliament. You'll have representation in parliament where there are issues in your community, because ANC is not going to listen to you on your own.
Yeah.
The next elections, where you're going to get the resources from?
Yeah.
When you're under the Action SA umbrella, you're working with a party that is known and loved by the people. So
Yeah.
I'm really hoping. I hope we achieve this target, to
Yeah.
say, guys, let's work together to make sure that by end of this year we have additional. We have 200 councillors.
Yeah.
I know it's a stretch target.
Yeah.
If we don't get 200, we'll get 150. Are we going to complain?
Yeah. No, no.
Without going through a by-election?
Yeah.
Political parties have got to spend a fortune to just get one councillor. So Action SA is not going to contest in by-elections. There's no need.
Yeah.
We found a better way of working with ethical people. And what I find with this independence, these are community members who are concerned and will never vote for the ANC or any other party. So
Or
that's
DA.
why they went their way. They're known in their communities. And these are people we are inviting, come in, be part of Action SA. Herman Mashaba is here driving the green umbrella. Herman Mashaba is here to launching branches. As much as I'm an old man, I still got the energy to walk the streets of Phoenix, Kwamashu, Damaskral, Soweto,
Yeah.
So I'm excited about the future of my country, and confident that one day we'll have a country where us as Black people can really be proud for having managed to demonstrate to the world that this whole notion that Black people are not capable to do things, it is highly possible. You just really need ethical leaders who are prepared to work.
Herman, we can talk till the morning. Thank you for your time. This platform, as we always say, we talk about anything and everything about Action SA, and you did exactly that. And we want to thank you for availing yourself. And thank you, viewers at home, for spending time with us. And I have no doubt that at home today, you have a better picture and understanding of what Action SA all about and who is the leader of Action SA and his vision for this country. And I think it's very exciting to hear from the man himself and some who've been asking questions, what Action SA stand for, do we have a vision for this country? And your questions have been answered today. We may not answer all the questions you may have, but I have no doubt that now you know better about Action SA. But thank you for your time, and thanks everyone who commented on our social media platform, to all the platforms. I know you've been commenting, we've seen your comments. Thank you. And Herman, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Zakel, and thank you so much, all the listeners. All the best as we work hard. Let's pray for the success of our country. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you. Good night.